Today we'll be discussing one of my favorite topics. In honor of all things love, romance, and yearning, we're talking about ships. Not those kind of ships, but those kind of ships. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Crystal, as in the Kyber crystals, and I talk all things Star Wars. I also do makeup in most of my videos because I love makeup and I love Star Wars. I love all things beauty, love, and romance. It's kind of like our theme for today's video. It is in honor of Valentine's Day. If that is something that interests you, and if you ever want to see my face again, go ahead and hit subscribe. And if you're a returning viewer, subscriber, hi, how are you? How's it going? So in this video, I am going to do a makeup look. I'm also going to tell you my top 5 favorite ships, as well as some honorable mentions. I do have one ship that I didn't know was toxic until I did research for this video. I mean, I thought it was fine, but apparently the internet does not agree with me. So I'm not gonna do like a tutorial. If you guys are interested, I will have all the products that I'm using listed in the description down below. First things first, what's a ship? Ship is derived from the word relationship, and it's a desire usually by the fans for 2 or more fictional characters to become involved, whether that be romantic or otherwise. Relationships can range from anything that is already in canon, undergoing development, implied, or highly improbable, impossible, that could never happen, which is honestly my favorite. So all canon and headcanon mean, why can I not speak right now? Canon refers to everything that exists within the media that's being presented, and in the case of Star Wars, that means our movies, our TV shows, our books, our video games, our comic books. Everything that happens in those are considered canon, except for when they're retconned. And then a headcanon is something that I, as the viewer, or you as the viewer, make up in our heads to kind of fill in gaps. You know, we kind of add a little bit more to the story. Shipping is a very popular fandom activity, and it usually takes the form of fan art or fan fiction or posting, if I'm being honest. And shipping reigned supreme on Tumblr, AO3, or Archive of Our Own, and fanfiction.net. We see it on Twitter as well. You might hear me say stuff like drop the AO3 link, and that basically means if you have a fanfic, share it. Drop it in the comments. Drop your favorite Star Wars fanfic in the comments right now. Like literally right now, I'm not even kidding. I want to read your favorite Star Wars fanfics. So you might notice that there are a lot of gay or queer ships. In the past, and even still today, gay people and queer and trans non-binary people have not been included in a lot of mainstream media, and instead we'll get queer-coded characters. Queer coding is a term that means that they just give a character traits or behaviors. It might imply their sexuality or their gender. I think that fan fiction and shipping has really given queer folk the opportunity to explore these themes in the characters that they identify with or love, and also explore those themes within themselves. A big characteristic of shipping is the ship name, and the way that we come up with ship names is by smushing the character names together. An example of this in real life would be like Bennifer. And as a Star Wars example, we have Reylo, which is taking Rey Skywalker and Kylo Ren. Okay, I normally don't like pinks on me, so I'm like a little apprehensive. This is very outside of my comfort zone. So I am going to use the Star Wars Pat McGrath palette, this color right here. It is just so beautiful. It is the perfect glitter. So before we get started and I share with you guys my top 5 favorite ships, I just want to take a moment to remind everyone that all ships are valid. Let people ship who they want. We are talking about fictional characters here. It's actually so crazy that I've never talked about this ship before, because they are the reason I started a YouTube channel, and that is ObiWan and Satine. I am obsessed with them. Their relationship is so spicy. It has that sweet, sweet, unrequited love and a little bit of that scorned love, like the yearning. So we first meet these two in season 2 of the Clone Wars, and the first words out of Obi-Wan's mouth to Satine to each other is just like, they have some drama between them, and I'm here for it. Please go back and watch it. It is so funny. They are just so snippy with each other, and it's such a contrast to how we usually see Obi-Wan, who is just so reserved and perfect all the time. I think it's kind of fun to see Obi-Wan lose his composure. Another thing that I want to point out is that ObiWan and Satine have this physical familiarity between the two of them that I think is like, you can tell they're used to being in close proximity of each other, if you know what I mean. We hardly ever see ObiWan squirm the way that he squirms when he's around Satine. And he also is just like so feisty with her. I mean, he doesn't even get like that with Anakin and Ahsoka. If anything, he's like bored and over them. But with Satine, he's like instantly triggered, and it is just so delightful. I want to know what happened on their 1 year extended mission. That is a long time to spend with someone. I want to know what led them to hate each other so much now. What happened? That is the fanfic that I want to read, so drop the AO3 link. I haven't written fanfiction, but if I were, it'd be about them two, and it'd be about this and why they hate each other so much, but like are also low-key still in love and like can't stand each other. Like, I love it. Something about that, it hits right here. I mean, I have my theories, which I'm going to share with you, of course. How could I not? What I think happened was ObiWan killed someone for her. I mean, that would explain a lot of their hostility and their back and forth. It kind of has like this undertone of like, they're definitely talking about something underneath what they're saying to each other. But the reason I think that he killed someone for her is because in the first episode we meet them, ObiWan saves Satine from someone in Death Watch. And he's like, oh, but I didn't kill him. And she says, I know, that's why I'm still talking to you. And I was like, did he kill someone in front of her, for her? I mean, it could have just been like they had a big falling out or they broke each other's hearts. And it could be as simple as, you know, their duties lie somewhere else, which brings me to, they are the perfect foil to Anakin and Padme's forbidden love. They are kind of the example of what their relationship might have looked like had they not secretly fallen in love and gotten married. I love that ObiWan and Satine care very deeply for each other, but they can never be with each other, and that is like so heartbreaking to me. A lot of Star Wars love stories or romantic love in Star Wars, it is often tragic, and we know how Satine and ObiWan end. I mean, I could really go on about ObiWan and Satine and how much I love them and how fun of a couple they are, but we're gonna move on to my second ship. So my second ship is Shroot Baze from Rogue One. Now this is a hill that I will literally die on. They are space husbands, life partners, if you will. If you watched Rogue One and didn't come to this conclusion, then I don't think that we are watching the same movie. They are so obviously life partners, and while there's nothing in the actual media that suggests that they are romantic, I mean, let's be real. I don't think it needs to be romantic. I don't think all relationships or partnerships have to be exaggerated display of romance. And I think that we get that with Shroot Baze in Rogue One. You know, you can't deny that these two have a very deep understanding and trust in each other. And I love that their relationship can be interpreted in many different ways. I think that love can take many forms, and I think that love does take many forms. They're life partners. They've been together for a long time, and they've committed to staying together. They have this very deep knowingness between the other. I mean, and the way they talk to each other, they're like an old married couple. So I love them. They're definitely in love. Space husbands. Okay, but check out how cute these blushes are. Like, they're perfect for today's video. So I'm gonna wear both of these today. So while Shroot Baze is not necessarily very spicy, I just love them. I think that they're very wholesome, and I think that they are a great example how love can take on many forms and does take on many forms throughout a relationship, the lifetime of a relationship. Okay, so let's talk about my third favorite ship, and the third ship, which is Han and Leia. Of course it's Han and Leia. But more specifically, I want to talk about Han and Leia on Hoth. Like, them on Hoth, so spicy, so spicy. It is just so, it's just so good. Their flirting reminds me a lot of Pride and Prejudice. Like, I love Pride and Prejudice. It is one of my favorite movies and one of my favorite books. Just like their little banter back and forth, it cracks me up every single time I watch it. I'm just like sitting there like giggling. Anything about love, I'm like giggling and like squirming around, like that's how I feel. That's how I feel when I see Han and Leia on Hoth. So what I love about Han and Leia is that they just have so much yearning for each other. There's so much like glancing, there's so much flirting, unsaid feelings, like it's so good. They kind of hate each other because they don't really know how to like say what they're feeling, and I just eat it up. They are like one of the most iconic couples in all of movie history. Whether you've seen Star Wars or not, knows the iconic I know. And I know the I love you and I know line is kind of like snarky and it's kind of funny, but I feel like it fits the context of everything in the whole movie. The whole time that they're on Hoth and they're like leaving, Han is basically telling her like, oh, I know you like me, like let's just get on with it basically, and she's like, no. And so when she finally confesses her feelings to him, he's like, yeah, I know. Okay, so ship number 4. So my number 4 couple is Jin and Cassian, which is no surprise to anyone that knows me. Of course, we have another Rogue One couple that is not actually a couple because I love torturing myself like that. Jin and Cassian are my OTP in Star Wars. Like, they are my number 1 couple. OTP stands for one true pairing, and it's a term that signifies a person's favorite fictional romantic relationship. And for me, it's Jin and Cassian. Their chemistry is so spicy. With Rogue One, again, there's nothing in the movie that actually suggests that there's anything romantic going on between these two characters, which honestly just makes me want it even more. And I actually really love that they don't kiss in Rogue One at the end. I think it makes the movie like hit so much harder because I feel like that is so much more intimate and it says so much more to be like held in your last moments. So there are these two lone wolves who come together and that's all they have at the end. And I just think it's so beautiful. Oh my God. Okay, something else I really love about Jin and Cassian is how spicy they are. Their spice meter off the charts, the spiciest. I am very passionate. I'm a very passionate Rogue One Jin Cassian shipper. When Jin and Cassian are having their argument after, spoiler, Galen dies, and they are just like so heated and they have like these crazy big emotions. Jin's dad just died in her arms after being reunited with her. Cassian just disobeyed the rebels. He is basically like losing his religion in that moment, and they are just like two storms just like brewing and fighting each other, and it is so intense. Dude, it gets me. Every single time it gets me without fail. Every time that scene happens and they're on screen together, I'm just like I don't want to see it because it just like gives me so many feelings. Like, I'm feral. They make me feral. I am a mess right now. I'm so embarrassed because my boyfriend is gonna watch this video. He knows what's up though. Okay, so a fun fact about Jin and Cassian is, while I was doing research for this video, Jin and Cassian have the highest ranking fanfics, or number of fanfics on AO3 of Star Wars, everything before the sequel trilogy. So, you know, I'm not the only one. Before I get into my final ship, I have some honorable mentions that we are just gonna fire through really quick. Starting off safe, we are going with Anakin and Padme. Their ship name is Anidala. So it's like Anakin and Padme Amidala. So Anidalma. They are the mom and dad of Star Wars, respectively. Next is Din and Cobb, because come on, Din and Cobb. Like, I ship Din and Cobb like so hard. Like, we're also going to do an honorable mention of Din and Luke. So they're not my favorite ship because Din is clearly with Cobb Vanth. Change my mind. Next we have Cinta and Vel because they are our first explored queer couple in Star Wars. They're not just in the background kissing. They're not just queer coded. They are gay and we are here for it. It has not ended tragically like a lot of lesbian couples do in media. I love that their relationship is complicated but not tragic. Next is Poe and Finn. How could we not mention Poe and Finn? Poe and Finn is canon. Even Oscar Isaacs played Poe in that way. Do you see the way they look at each other? Like, their bromance is more than a bromance. It's canon. End of story, it's canon. But Finn and Rey. No, Finn and Rey, I love Finn and Rey. They are set up from the first movie, and I think that they make so much sense. I think that they would be a really cute couple, and I would like to see it. I think Finn and Rey is really cute, but Finn and Poe, I ship both. Ahsoka and Kaden. I still haven't watched the last episode of Tales of the Jedi. I feel like I've been kind of putting it off because of what I know is happening. I think Ahsoka deserves love. She's not a Jedi. She can be in love. We have Hera and Kanan, another tragic love story in Star Wars. Ugh, it breaks my heart. Qui-Gon and Shmi. Yes, do you partake in that? Because I do. I partake in that. We have the infamous Rey and Kylo. Rey and Kylo, they were like the top fanfic in like 2020. Like, they were the number one, and I think they've been number one for a long time. I can see why people ship Reylo. Hot. We love it. Yeah, but Reylo is like, has transcended Star Wars. Remember what happened with Twilight? That Twilight fan fiction that got published into its own book and then became a movie, 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey was a fanfic, a Twilight fanfic. The Reylo fan fiction world shippers, they've transcended Star Wars, and they have books written about Reylo that aren't even about Star Wars anymore. They're like AUs, or alternative universes, which is kind of sick, honestly. Like, Reylo's really did that. Zeb and Callus from Rebels. They are one of the best examples of enemies to lovers in Star Wars. And if you don't know, enemies to lovers is my favorite trope. I love enemies to lovers. Like, I eat that up. Urge you to watch season 2, episode 17, The Honorable Ones. They're gonna fall in love. I'm telling you, man, nothing does it for me like enemies to lovers. And at the end of Rebels, Zeb is taking Callus to the secret location of the Lestats to live out the rest of their lives as partners. I know that there's like some toxic ships out there, but like I said, I don't really see that. It's all fictional characters. We're allowed to like explore whatever we want in fiction. So I don't really agree with that narrative. You might think that it's gross, and that's fine. I'm like embarrassed to say it. Before I was like not embarrassed to say it. I ship, my number 5 ship is Rex and Ahsoka. You heard me. I ship them, and I ship them for like this one specific moment that happened in season 7 of Clone Wars when Rex is like losing it and he's crying and she like takes off his helmet. I was like, oh my god, kiss. I wanted it. The ship sailed. That's all I have to say, is that ship sailed. I think that they're really sweet. I think that they could be really sweet together, and I know this kind of goes against all existing canon after the Clone Wars season 7. So it's just like in my head, but I think that it could be really sweet between them. And maybe it doesn't happen like right away, you know, but I think that they could fall in love. They grew up together and they are running from the Empire, and all they have really is each other. And I could totally see it becoming like this really cute and sweet partnership between the two of them. Like, I don't see this relationship being super romantically charged. Like I said in the Shroot Bays ships, is I don't think all partnerships need to be like inherently romantic. Maybe it just like works for them. That's just like something, they just have this love between them. I could totally see it. The ship is gone. The ship has sailed. I think that they deserve love, and I think that they could give it to each other. It's not weird, okay? It's not weird. I don't think it's weird. I'm so excited that we had this conversation about ships together. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. I love love. I love talking about love. I love talking about ships. I love talking about fandom. I love talking about like all those little corners that we all kind of like thrive in. For me, that's love and ships and fanfics. Love and ships and fanfics. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me a little heart emoji with like the Cupid's arrow through it. And then also please tell me your OTP. Drop your OTP in the comments down below. You know, we can talk about it. You know, I'll talk about it with you. There's so much in the Star Wars universe that I would love to explore. Ships and romance and love is just one aspect of that. So if you guys want to see more of my videos, don't forget to subscribe. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day, and may the force be with you. Bye. The yearning. 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 Ugh, the yearning.